Welcome to another episode of The Diplomat. My name is Stephen Taylor. Thank you for joining us here on BRICS TV on Starsat. And today, joined by the Consul General of Portugal, José, who's got an amazing surname, which I can't pronounce. Arsénio. José Arsénio. José, how are you? Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm fine, and I'm happy to be here with you.
The Consul General of Portugal, wow. So if I think of Portugal, the first thing that pops to mind is Ronaldo.
Yes.
He's like your ambassador, eh?
Very true, yes. Our most popular figure,
yes.
Our most popular Portuguese nowadays, definitely.
So tell us about you and your entering the diplomatic service. How did that begin for you? Where did it all start?
Well, my father is now retired, but he was also a diplomat, so I've always been attached from the very beginning to the diplomatic life. Okay. And sometimes when you belong to a diplomatic family, there's sort of two ways you can go with this. Or you really want to step away from it and go after a different type of life, or you become captured by the good things and interesting things of this life, and so you end up also wanting to follow this career. In my case, not only did I have, of course, a big interest in the whole dynamics of the work and what diplomacy is all about, but I also felt very comfortable with the idea that I would continue this type of life.
His legacy.
Exactly. So bringing these two factors together, I went for it and I tried to get into the diplomatic service and I succeeded.
How does it work? How does one in Portugal? I know every country is different. How does it work in Portugal in terms of joining? What do you have to do?
Well, you're working for the state, so it's a public career, and with that, by law, you have to try. You have to make a tryout. An exam to enter the diplomatic career. Almost every year there's an opportunity for new candidates to present their candidacy into becoming a diplomat, and you go through a series of different exams, and this is then analyzed and by a council that's organized within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that then sees the performance of every candidate and decides according to punctuation who makes it to the end to be eligible for that small number slot given for
yes.
new diplomats.
So an exam, is it tough?
It is tough, and the competition is also very high because you have on every year that these candidacies are open, you have on some occasions over 1,000 candidates. And it's a candidacy that's open to everybody that has a university degree. And it doesn't have to be a degree connected or oriented towards diplomacy. That is, if you study, for instance, architecture or medicine, you are also entitled, or you also have the right to be a candidate to enter diplomacy.
Okay, and how long have you been doing it now?
I started in 96, towards the end of 96.
Okay.
So, yes.
And how did you start? Did you have to work in the Foreign Office or work your way up? Where did you?
You start in the Foreign Office.
Okay.
So usually you do a period of 3 to 4 years before you are posted abroad. Most of our career is done abroad.
Yes.
And by the time you finish your career, the overall timing was spent in abroad. But at the beginning, of course, it makes sense, and you have to know the structure, the base structure, and it's important, of course, that you prepare yourself and start within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And after those 3-4 years, you are eligible to be posted abroad. And in my case, it was practically after 3 years. I was posted in Mexico City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
As a Consul General, no?
No, as a Secretary of Embassy.
What is that?
Well, you have different grades, categories before being ultimately the last one, ambassador level.
Yes.
So you have a secretary of embassy, then you have consular, then you have minister consular, and then you have ambassador.
Oh,
so you have all these different categories that you conquer along the way, that you are promoted to along the way. And like I said, the ultimate aim, so to say, is for you to reach ambassador level and be posted as ambassador somewhere abroad.
Okay, so tell us some of the postings that you've had, the countries that you've been to. You went to Mexico City.
Well, I started out with Mexico City in our embassy there. And after that, I was sent to the OSCE, that's the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which is
I've never heard of that.
It's based in Vienna.
Oh.
It's a very important regional international organization because within Europe, it handles all the security issues.
Part of the EU?
No, not part of the EU.
Oh.
This is separated from the EU.
Oh, wow.
It brings together many of the European countries plus Canada and the United States.
Sure.
And this is an organization that took its origin in the West-East confrontation from the old Cold War days, where both sides understood that they had to have a forum where they could discuss all the security matters, be it military, be it defense policy, anything where they could get together and discuss and solve to bring down the tensions, so to say, within the Cold War environment. And this organization was based in Vienna, and that's where I was posted after being in Mexico. And I was in the Portuguese delegation that was represented in that organization.
Sure. So it's
every
kind of like the UN in Europe.
Exactly. A type of or international organization, say, comparatively to the UN, but dedicated solely to all the peace-oriented policies and security policies within Europe. So it's a very active, a very technical, a very political, important
What's it called?
OSCE, Organization
for
Security and Cooperation in Europe.
Okay, I'm going to go check that out. I've never heard of that. Thank you. I learned something today. Okay, so interesting learning about the organization in Europe that deals with security and peace. I learned a lot. Thank you for that. So tell me about some of your other postings.
Well, after being in Vienna, I returned to the Foreign Office in Lisbon. So after you do 2 postings, you usually return to your base home. Usually these 2 postings, they are done in a period of 8 to 9 years maximum. So it's a long time that you're abroad, away from home. So it's also important that you come back to your own reality back home. And that's what happened. I returned to Lisbon, where I spent 5 years before being posted again abroad, and this time as Consul General in Stuttgart in Germany.
Okay. Oh, wow. How was that?
It was very exciting for 2 reasons. First, because we have a very important, dynamic Portuguese community in that region of Germany. They've been there for decades. And second, because Stuttgart lies in the heartland of a very industrial, important hub of Germany. You're talking about an area that has relevant companies like Bosch, like Mercedes-Benz, like Porsche. And these companies, they only took account for something like 5% of the whole economic activity in that region of Germany. So you can imagine that part of southern Germany, how active and how decisive
it is. Business district.
from the industrial point of view and commercial point of view. So I had these two spheres that were very interesting, the community aspect and to follow all this incredible dynamic of the industry in Germany. That was very exciting.
And when did you come to Cape Town?
And after Germany, then we were blessed, and I say blessed because I'm a big fan of Cape Town. We were posted, I say we because my wife also was very much in favor that we could manage to have this opportunity to work and to live here in Cape Town.
Had you been here before?
No, and in fact it's my very first experience in the African continent.
Wow.
And I believe it was an excellent start.
So what had you heard? What had your views of Cape Town, South Africa before you came here and then you arrived? Was it completely different to what you'd heard?
South Africa is actually a very well-known country for us Portuguese because we've always had a big Portuguese community.
Yes.
Here in Cape Town, also in the Johannesburg area. So it's always a country that we've been following and are very well aware of what takes place here, everything has happened throughout the last decades. Of course, it's a country that at international level you can't miss out. It's the country of Mandela. It's the country of the big transformations into a new area, leaving apartheid behind, doing a peaceful transition into a new democratic open society regime. So it was a country in the days where the country opened up around the period of '94. South Africa was really out there at international level. There was no newscast that wouldn't follow everything that was taking place in this country. So it's a country that at international level is, I believe, well known. Then you had this big figure that reached everybody's notion about what he had done, Nelson Mandela. And then for us Portuguese, like I said, it's the fact that we have a large Portuguese community here, and the fact that there's also a historical linkage between South Africa and Portugal, because our Bartolomeu Dias, our navigator, 500 years ago, crossed the Cape of Good Hope and opened the sea route from west to the east, going around the African continent. So from that aspect also, South Africa has a special significance.
Okay, we'll talk more in a moment. We are in conversation with the Consul General of Portugal. You are watching The Diplomat with Stephen Taylor. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to The Diplomat with Stephen Taylor. It's good to have you here. We are in conversation with the Consul General of Portugal. It was a long break, apparently. José, thank you for still being here. You were telling us about the relationship between South Africa and Portugal. How is the relationship at the moment?
It's excellent. The relationships have been at a very good stance throughout the years, and of course we have a lot of things that bring us together: the historical linkage, the fact that we have a very important and large Portuguese community here, and also the fact that the African continent for Portugal has a special meaning. We have a big historical connection to this continent, and so we continue to have an interest in everything that takes place and happens in Africa, and of course that makes us feel very comfortable to have excellent relations and to pursue excellent relations with South Africa.
Tell me about so your role as Consul General in Cape Town.
Yeah.
What areas does that cover?
Okay, my jurisdiction covers the Northern Cape, the Eastern Cape, and the Western Cape. Oh, wow. That's my domain. So, and when you talk about this, this means that I hold consular responsibilities in these provinces. Every Portuguese that resides in these regions should call upon my consulate for whatever matter they have to deal with. I also have responsibilities in terms of communicating and relating with the local authorities, and for whatever matter, be it for consular reasons, be it for economic reasons, commercial reasons, or even cultural activities. But in the overall, when it comes to taking over the major political bilateral aspects, that's mainly handled, of course, by our embassy in Pretoria and by our ambassador there and his staff.
So you obviously have your team here. You work closely with the Western Cape government, the city of Cape Town. Mm-hmm. Tell us about some of the projects that you are involved in as Consul General of Portugal.
Well, what we intend to do, and this again is also being pursued by our embassy in Pretoria. We're all interconnected, so to say, in this, is to widen our cooperation between, for instance, the cities in Portugal and Cape Town. In this case, we're talking about, for instance, a larger cooperation between everything that Lisbon does, the mayor's office in Lisbon does, and, for instance, the mayor's office here in Cape Town. Oh, wow. And of course, I have to also have a good contact with the mayor's office here, given our large Portuguese community. Absolutely. So not only can our community benefit by having his consul have good connections with the city for whatever purpose, but also the other way around, the city also knows or needs to know its communities better, and I can help them out in this interconnection between the both sides. And we have a big Portuguese club here in Cape Town, where Mayor Dan Puedo already visited, and we hosted an event in his honor. And it's an open space, not only, of course, for the Portuguese. It's not only the house for the Portuguese, but along the year, it also hosts a lot of events for South Africans. Yes. So it's an open house for the Portuguese and for the South Africans as well. It's in Rugby. All right. It's in Rugby. Okay. It's a big club with a big area. We've done all types of events there, be it sports events, be it live music, be it at official level events. It's a great club with a nice atmosphere. And you go there a lot? I go there frequently, of course, not only for work reasons, but also to join people, and because that's what it's all about. You have to reach out and connect with your people. Absolutely. And see what's going on in the community. And so yes, it's a wonderful club, and like I said at the beginning, it's very important that you maintain a good contact with the local authorities for whatever purpose. Also at provincial level, of course, when it comes to educational, cultural, security matters. I remember very well during, for instance, the water crisis. Yes. It was very important for us consuls, not just me, the overall consuls, to obtain the necessary information and briefings about what was going on, because in fact it was a completely new issue for most of us, and we had to, of course, our concern were our communities. So there we had a good communication, cooperation with the local authorities, and bringing us information and helping us out with whatever we needed at the time. Does Portugal have a water crisis? No. We have to be careful with our waters, and I think any country today sort of has to manage well their water resources. And Portugal is on the southern part of Europe, which goes through long summers,
Yes.
very dry summers.
Oh, really?
Where if you don't have a good amount of rainfall along the winter period, like in Cape Town,
Yes.
we may also come across the problems of managing our water in a way so that we have enough water and to feel safe about it. We've never reached the extreme case that the Western Cape reached 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We've never gone through that drama and that idea that we could reach day zero. But yes, we do have to be very careful because there are summers that are very long, very dry, and where our water resources can also become limited.
So we had the water crisis, talking about another crisis now, COVID-19, which is quite hectic for all of us, I mean the world at large. How's the repatriation been for the Portuguese people, for your people?
It's been a challenge. It has been working. I think people have been very understanding. People that want to or need to leave the country for the various reasons that they have to leave, because they realize that at this moment no one is in full control of whatever situation.
Yeah.
And with that regard, also when it comes to Portugal and trying to repatriate its people. There's a lockdown, of course, and the airspace is closed to commercial flights.
Yes.
So any flight that is being organized here to bring people out of the country or into the country has to have a repatriation status, and that has to be approved between the authorities. So it's not an easy task. It's difficult. At the beginning of the lockdown, I think most European countries managed to bring most of its tourists out of the country, the big number that were left behind. But of course now with the passing of time we have new candidates, so to say, that are seeking to be repatriated because for whatever reason, be it work, be it health, be it study, for family reasons, they have to return to their countries.
Yeah, some people on certain visas, so those visas obviously run out in time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So you're still busy with repatriating people?
We still are busy, and I predict that we are going to continue very busy in this matter as long as we have this situation with the lockdown, which does not permit for regular commercial flights to operate. So the alternative that has been put into place, and we are all thankful that the South African authorities have enabled this, permitted this, is to have these repatriation flights that now and then are organized, they're not on a regular scale, to bring out our citizens back home. And when I say citizens, I say European citizens.
Yes.
And so Portugal has benefited from the organization of European companies that have taken the initiative to or have had the capacity to organize these flights in which we can also put our nationals to return back home.
José, thank you very much. The Consul General of Portugal, I appreciate your time, and we'll get you back again because we have to learn more about Portugal, and I've learned a lot, so thank you very much for your time. I appreciate
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Consul General of Portugal, thank you very much. Another episode of The Diplomat. Make sure that you are interacting at Stephen Taylor SA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Stephen Taylor SA. Take care. God bless.